Towards where Davy Rogers is up. Rogers swings the left. What a goal by Davy Rogers!
Not one person in this stadium seen this one.
You can see the guards behind the goal at the main stand. They will be investigating Shelbourne for robbery. They have absolutely mugged Treaty United here at Top.
Up and find the goal! Harry Wood, the jersey's off. 6 minutes to.
Look at that one! What a goal that is!
Hi folks, welcome to another LOI talk. Today I have two guests besides what I would call the guest resident. Is it fair to call you guest resident at this point, Cornell? Because I'm here every week, so I assume more as a resident, but not as much as a guest. And that's a compliment. So.
Thank you very much for the compliment. That really makes my night very, very special already.
And there's more to come. There's more to come. We have Joe Gorman with us, and in 30 minutes we have Jamie Smith. Jamie Smith will be here in 30 minutes. So there's a lot to go through. So we will discuss last weekend games and also the upcoming ones. And of course, we will throw a few questions to Joe and Jamie. And not just us. We want yourselves to participate, so chat box is open. This should be as dynamic and interactive as possible. So let's make it that way. So if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, please do so. Then that's a great help. If you know someone who is into the League of Ireland or other topics I discuss here in other days, share. WhatsApp, I don't know, TikTok, whatever software you use. And if you appreciate the way we behave here, the insights we provide, there's a thumbs up there to show the satisfaction. So comments. I have one from John Brennan. That's what I call a lineup. Looking forward to show tonight. So I think this is about you, Joe. People are excited to see you here. Well,
so all right, apparently.
Yeah, I'm sure about that. Let's start to discuss last weekend games before we get into question and answer with Joe and Jamie. So I'm just gonna put here on the screen. Here, and we're gonna start with a result that I was not surprised. Although everything could have happened, but I'm not a Pats fan, but I trust Pats to be the happy one in October or November, and that, for me that was a huge step to beat Waterford. Let's start with Joe. On your perspective on this result.
I think Pats have kind of picked up a bit of steam at the moment. They're getting the wheels in motion. Look, they're obviously going to be up there this year for the title, I think. Well, I think they went 1-0 down, didn't they? And then they scored 2 late goals. Am I right?
Yeah.
But that'll obviously bring a lot of confidence to them. But they have good quality players. They have they've depth in squad, and I think they'll be good this year. Waterford have started well too, but okay, I'm always a firm believer in the cream rise to the top, and I think St. Pat's are actually just a bit too good for Waterford.
Cornell, it seems that St. Pat's won, but it was last minute. Is that a sign that they are not as strong as it seemed, or is that a sign that we can count on them from minute 1 till the very end?
I think we can count on St. Pat's from minute till day one. Obviously, them being a goal down obviously wasn't a plan of the script, but St. Patrick's showed the resilience, they showed the determination, and they showed the fighting spirit to come back. And this is the reason why they are top of the table for a reason, and that is the reason why we have to question and say, are St. Patrick's Athletic title contenders? And they are. You know, obviously they've been beaten twice away from home, but when they play at Richmond Park, you know, they are a fortress, and with the 11 matches that they have won, you know, it shows their performances. And the reason why they are on the fantastic form that they are is because even though, yes, they haven't got Aidan McKinnon there, even though it's not long-term injury, yes, he's injured, but good positives to know that he's not out for a long term, because then it would cause a lot of problems for their front line. But they've shown that that Mason Melia, who is the next generation, can really replace him, even though he's going to be going to Tottenham next year in 26, which I'm looking forward to seeing how he progresses in the Spurs academy. But this win, obviously, was written in the stars. You know, for them to come back from a goal down and then to get the own goal, and then Brendan Kavanagh as well, another player that obviously is one of the best midfielders that there is, you know, stepped up. You know, that there's no Jamie Lennon in the team. There's no Ramal Palmer, who's out for 4 months, which is a very, very big blow. But one thing they have shown is they've shown the quality, and that is the reason why they are top, and they are favourites to win the League of Ireland title. And I expect them to go all the way. I expect Aidan McKinnon to win the Golden Boot when he's fully fit and he returns. I expect the front four to dominate. You know, Simon Power to have his part, James Lennon to have his part, and of course, you know, Zebedee and Mulaney to play their parts too. But you know, I've always said that there's no stopping St. Pat's at all.
I think it's good also that, like, with good teams, obviously title contenders, there's not just a one man like scoring goals. The goals, they can get goals anywhere along the pitch. You know, every single one of them can score. You know, like Chris Forrester, I've played against him before. I think he's the best player in the league by a country mile. Brandon
Joe, sorry to interrupt you, but I do agree with you. Yes, Joe, Chris Forrester, yeah, one of the best midfielders that there is. Absolutely quality on the ball. His best passer in the league. I'm not saying that Dylan Watts is not the best passer in the League of Ireland, but Chris Forrester is definitely up there as the GOAT. And I think, as you said, Joe, it's not just relying on just Aidan McKinnon to score the goals, or relying on Mason Melia to score. So.
Okay, here's another away win in this situation from Shelbourne. So they won as we forecast, but it wasn't easy. And the result doesn't tell anything different, Cornell.
No, this was not an easy game. Saloga Rovers, who are down at the bottom of the table, you know, who haven't been in the best of form. John Russell's job is on the line, obviously. Because they haven't been in great form, and their form has shown the reason why they are not in the great form that they are. Shelbourne again came into this game with a winning mentality, and that is to win and get back to winning ways, not to go on and lose another game, not for them to sit down and say, well, because of the previous bug that went around the squad, and then obviously Damien Duff had to put out a team that he felt that could play in the previous game. No, it wasn't about that. It was about maintaining the winning mentality. You know, we're talking about Shelbourne, who won the President's Cup, who went on a 4 winning streak run, who had 3 draws, you know, who came into the new season of the League of Ireland with one expectation, and that is to retain their title. I expect them to be in and around and still challenge to retain the League of Ireland title, even though it will be tough and it will be hard, even though it's between 3 teams this season of Shelbourne and, of course, St. Pat's and Shamrock Rovers. But Shelbourne showed the fight and the resilience, and that is the reason why they won against Salogo. Not because they have an ego problem or anything else. It's about the winning mentality. It's about Damien Duff's mentality as a manager, to really putting out his best 11, putting out the best team, and playing the right formation that really suits the players, and that the players can really feed off and really play to, and it can play to their strengths and really help them to win games and get back to their absolute best.
Joe, were you surprised with Shelbourne struggling to get the 3 points, or were you somehow expecting that kind of action in the pitch?
I wouldn't say struggling. I'd say, look, champions find a good way to win and go over the line. I think Shelbourne are very well structured in a way. You know, I've went to see them plenty of times. It's actually my local club, and I think Damien Duff's got them well drilled there. Everyone knows their individual roles. You know, there's got some good individual players, and they just know they're all on the same hymn sheet. They're very good at what they do, and even at home at Talca Park, they're hard to beat. You know, it's not an easy place to go to, and when they're away, they seem to get 3 points all the time, and they'll definitely be up there, and they're building on momentum from last year. So, yeah, I think they'll be up there this year, definitely.
Another game, another away win, which for me tells that each LOI game is unpredictable. Well, one thing we can have in mind is both are not having the best season ever, and that result puts the manager under a lot of pressure. I saw footage from a friend of mine where some fans were basically insulting the Reynolds, and I think he has not much. He doesn't have a lot of margin at this point. I think it's a matter of 2 or 3 games. If they don't go up on the table, maybe he will be looking for employment. Now, next game is with Sligo, but what about this one with Galway, who is in a great form, Joe?
No, look, I've played at Galway before, so I kind of know how John Caulfield gets his team to set up. Look, nothing surprises me. Galway in a few years will be up there challenging with a team. They've got a great support, a great backing from everyone down there, and I've actually seen the footage. I didn't get to see the game, but I've seen the footage of one of the goals. It's already up there for goal of the season already. We took it very well, but at the moment, Bows can't seem to get a win together, and there's a lot of I'm seeing a lot of talk of the manager. Fans want the manager out. It's not positive at the moment, but everything at Galway at the moment seems to be very good, and it's a very good win. Look, always coming to a Dublin club, you're always going to get the fans behind you, you know. And I think Galway have done very well. They've started well, and am I surprised that they won? Probably not. No, not the way Bows are going.
Colin, do you think after that result, Galway can assume that they are fighting for for Europe at least?
Last season they missed out. Last season, Galway United. Obviously they were lucky not to get a European place last season, but this season they have been on absolute fire. They've been winning all their games, to really stand a chance of really getting into the European places. Moses Dyer has really adapted really well to the League of Ireland. He's starting to get on the goals, and if he can carry on that form, then he's going to be a very, very key striker for Galway United. As for Bohemians, as a team, don't get me started on Bohemians. I mean, please, seriously, 30 efforts on goal, 6 defeats. This is not good enough from Bohemians at all. This Mose experiment, I mean, has not worked, and it has not been good enough. Obviously, Colburn Whelan, who obviously has now pushed out Mose out of the team, has really shown the quality of a striker that he can be. Yes, at the moment, he's not scoring at the moment, despite he's got 3 goals. But this Mose experiment is just not good enough at all. Bohemians, honestly, they've got quality, excellent options in the midfield, right? Don't get me wrong, and a striker to score goals. But you could clearly see that Alan Reynolds doesn't know what he's doing. He's putting players in wrong positions. No, seriously, Joe. Seriously. He's putting players in the wrong positions. Why are you doing that? You're supposed to know your starting 11. If you're a head coach, if you are a manager, you're supposed to know your starting 11. You're supposed to know who are your best players. Yes, they've bought good players like Alex Lacey, Pearson's into the fold. Whelan, when he wasn't getting playing time at St. Pat's and it weren't working, right? Mose, it's not worked, right? It wouldn't be surprising if Mose actually gets sold in the summer, because since Ofalabi has left, despite that he was their best player 3 seasons ago, they haven't replaced him. Why are you having Mose on the bench? Mose is supposed to be playing. He is supposed to be in the lineup, and he is supposed to be scoring goals for them. And I will be very surprised, really, if they lose tomorrow against Sligo Rovers, he'll be out of a job. Because if he don't know, he'll be out of a job. he'll be out of a job. Seriously.
Yeah, it seems that
I think you need to
yeah. Well,
I think we need to realise with Bow as well. There's a lot of like new players in there, but they have good individual players. But connecting as a team, I'd rather have a good team instead of one or two individual players. You know, look, Bows, they haven't started well, but I think whoever loses tomorrow will be in the job centre Monday morning. That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because if
a
they
lot
can't,
of the club and they have a big backing with fans, and it's do or die for them tomorrow, I think.
They have to win. They have to win tomorrow. Seriously, if they can't get a win under their belt and they go 7 defeats tomorrow, if they lose to Saloga Rovers, yes, Saloga Rovers are in a bad position, which they are. But at least with Saloga Rovers, they show a bit of fight and they show a bit of spirit. But when I look at this Bohemians team, I don't see no fight. I don't see no resilience. I don't see nothing in this team. Everything about this Bohemians team, since all this hype around Mose, since I see all them Bohemian fans hyping up and saying, oh, Mose's going to do this, Mose's going to do that, it's just not worked. Whelan is the only one that's bossing it in that team. Pearson's is the only one that's bossing it in that team. There's no teamwork in this game. So until they actually get a new manager, until they replace Alan Reynolds and have a manager, a head coach that can really, really get into this team and get the best out of Bohemians and get them back to their best, I think it's going to get worse and worse.
You know, I think I firmly believe in certain clubs that like destined for certain managers. Like Keith Long always got a great tune out of Bows. Like they click together, them two. I think it wouldn't surprise me if Alan Reynolds loses his job and Keith Long goes back there, because I just think he's a very good manager and he's done very well at Waterford. And I think him and Bows always have a good connection, and it wouldn't surprise you if he went back there.
Yeah, I agree with Joe on this. I wouldn't be surprised if Keith Long, because when Keith Long was actually managing at Bows, he had a winning mentality. He got the best out of them players, and the players were playing for him. Right now, you look at this team now, you look at this Bohemians team, and you look at them players, excluding the new signings. They don't want to play for Alan Reynolds. You can clearly see how bad, how serious, and how bad the fans are getting, how irate they are. They want change. They're demanding change. Until they get change, then bad results are just going to start coming for Bohemians. So something has to give.
The writing's on the wall already, isn't it? And surely there's no smoke without fire, and it usually only ends one way.
Yeah. There's too much talk on the coach at this point. No, it's not. I think it's not like the referee, that the referee shouldn't be mentioned during the game, but we expect the coach to be discreet. No, we want the team to be on the spot, not the coach. When the coach is too much on the news, I don't know. I think 4 out of 5 times, it's a bad sign for the team.
I agree.
I agree with you, Victor, on that. Seriously, there is a bad sign in this Bohemians team, and I think it's the manager that's the problem, because he just does not know his starting 11 and he don't know his best players and his best team.
Next one we have here, Cork Drogheda. That finished as a 1-1. I'm aware that there was some controversy around the Drogheda goal. Now myself, as a Cork fan, I turn a blind eye on that, and I think that tells already how I perceived that referee decision. But I leave it up to you, because you guys are neutral. Joe, maybe.
I actually watched that game because it was live on national television. But I think that goal should have stood, to be fair. I don't understand why it wasn't disallowed. But no, look, personally, I'd maybe think Drogheda maybe just slightly edged it. I think Cork play some good football, but they're very dangerous in the changeover. They're very vulnerable when they're giving possession away. And Drogheda were just counter-attacking it and using to their advantage with Thomas Alua up front, who's very powerful and very pacey up front. They can hurt teams. Drogheda, Cork were missing a few players. And when you take kind of the spine out of the team, you can kind of see that it can affect them. But going to Turner's Cross, look, Cork will obviously want to maintain their Premiership Division status up there this year, so maybe in the long term it won't be a bad result.
Cornell, do you think Drogheda can fight for the first few places, like Europe, let's say?
Yeah, I thought this was a very good game to watch. I watched the highlights on FAI television on YouTube, and I felt Cork City had good moments of the game. I mean, obviously the penalty really turned the style, and Rory Keating does what he always does and scores penalties and scores goals, and they had most of the possession, most of the ball, and they started to dominate. Yes, of course they have injuries in the team. Yes, they haven't got. I mean, Cathal Sullivan, fantastic to see him back. Another 17-year-old kid that's gonna really shine in the League of Ireland from now to the end to the end of the season. Obviously, Greg Bolger obviously going to come back as soon as you know it, of course. And this is why Cork City, I think, will definitely stay up, and they will definitely be in and around the European places at some point. Drogheda, obviously, another team that really turns the style. Yeah, of course they've got injuries in their team, but they still showed the resilience. I mean, I couldn't get over the fact that obviously Warren Davis's goal was disallowed, even though the goalkeeper had the ball, and then Davis took it off the keeper and tapped it in, and then it was 1-1, and then for some reason then the goal got disallowed and stuff, and it went back to 1-0, and then finally Warren Davis actually scores, and he's showing his form too. But look, it was an imbalanced game, but again, I think Drogheda were the better team in the second half, and Cork City were the better team in the first half.
I think it's important for Cork City to keep Rory Keating fit. He's a big game player, like he does score a lot of goals, and obviously Shawnee Maguire wasn't injured in that, but look, they need goals this season, so keeping them two fit is crucial.
Yeah, I totally agree. Rory Keating has proven that he can score goals and he can make things happen. Last season, yes, he didn't do it at St. Pat's because he wasn't getting played under the previous manager. He only scored 2 or 3 goals. But since his return to Cork City last season and helped them to win the First Division title and helped them to get promotion back to the Premier Division of the League of Ireland, he's just been so key. And I even said, even at the start of the podcast show, that when you've got Sean Maguire and them two and Keating really firing, they are Cork City are a force that no one cannot stop and to be recognised with. But I think once Sean Maguire comes back into the team, even though yes he's going to sign, he's going to be offered 400k of a new contract, which is a lot of money, but I think it shows his loyalty and his commitment to Cork City. But honestly, I think they're going to be an absolute force this season from now till November.
Now, 2 teams that, in my estimation, are underperforming, Shamrock and Derry, and no wonder that their score end up in a nil. Now, I think for Rovers, the reason is the fatigue, which is a result of the extended season they had in 2024. For Derry, I don't know, but maybe, guys, you can help me with what's going on that end. I'll keep the ball with Cornell for this.
To answer your question, Victor, of what's really going on with Derry at the moment, I think it's the striking issues that is the problem, because since they've brought Liam Boyce into the fold and swapped him with Colburn Whelan to go to Bohemians, he just hasn't really been firing. I mean, yes, he was firing in the Scottish Premiership, and since coming to the League of Ireland, he hasn't really fired, and we all expect him to really score the goals. Patrick Hobben is another prime example as well. He's getting to that stage of his career, and you're thinking, well, he might not. I'm not saying that he's not good enough. He is good enough, but we're seeing his form kind of like wilt down a bit, and we're kind of and I think that's questioning a lot of Derry City fans. Well, is the Derry City team like too experienced, or there's too many experienced players in the Derry team, and there's not enough youngsters in the team who can really affect the game and bring the game? Like, prime example, you got Noonan, obviously Michael Noonan, 16 years old, playing for Shamrock Rovers, and Shamrock Rovers is relying on him to score goals and to make things happen. They haven't got a striker, but Derry have. But the questions is, I think the thing is, since Lynch has come in, T and Lynch has come in, he's slightly adapted well, but it's more like his formation, his style of play. Is it gonna really help the players really get the best out, help Lynch get the best out of the players, or do they need to go with a plan B and tweak it and tweak the lineup and tweak the formation and figure out how can T and Lynch get the best out of them? How can he get Derry City being in and around being title contenders? How can he convince the Derry City fans that he is the right man for the job? He is the one that can really get Derry City back to their best. All these questions, because as soon as you know it, their reliance has been on Michael Duffy. Michael Duffy has been the only one that's actually been scoring goals, scoring free kicks, making things happen. Everything has been on Michael Duffy, and it's like to say that they haven't got a sort of plan B to work around Michael Duffy and take the pressure off him, because the more pressure is going to be, then you could clearly see that Derry City is starting to wilt. And even though I have them down as like title contenders for them to really challenge, but until T and Lynch actually gets his team selection correct, until he can get Liam Boyce scoring, until he can get the players bonding and doing well on the pitch, then it's going to be problems for Derry. Shamrock Rovers, again, a team that I still believe that will be in and around the title contendership for them to win their 5th consecutive League of Ireland title, right? Obviously, since Dylan Watts, say no more about Dylan Watts. Dylan Watts is the best passer in the League of Ireland, right? Had seven assists last season. Absolutely fantastic. He's done it again. Yes, they haven't replaced Poom in that midfield, but they've brought in Danny Grant. They've brought in Matt Healy. 2 of them combining together alongside each other is the best combination that you see. Since Poom has left, they have been absolutely unstoppable in that midfield. Matt Healy, an under-23 baller that played in the Belgian league, has been absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. And his ability to go forward and to link up the play is fantastic. Obviously, there was 2 red cards. Derry City got a red card. Shamrock Rovers got a red card, and both teams went down to 10 men. But I think, to be real, I think you didn't see the very best of Shamrock Rovers in this game. And the same thing with Derry. They tried to get forward. They tried to try and get on goal, but nothing was happening. So I think it'd be very, very interesting. It was a very interesting game, but I think the reason why Derry City's not clicking is because they're relying too much on Michael Duffy, and then they're not getting the best out of their strikers, and that's the reason why there is a striker problem.
Joe, your prospects for Rovers and Derry after this draw?
On Rovers' point of view, I think that look, they've had a long season last year. It's going to take its toll on the body, mentally, physically, and they probably didn't get a lot of break time, in the off season. Look, I think they will be up there, but they eventually have to lose the league eventually. They're not always going to win a week in, year out, if you know what I mean. With Derry went far off it last year, and they just slid off. But I think they need to kind of get Patrick Hoban on the pitch. He's been always up there with goals. I think with Derry, they've too many good players in that team. And I'd say Tiernan Lynch has a kind of a headache on who to pick each week, because if you don't pick a big ego, you're going to be at your door Monday morning asking, why am I not playing? And that's a headache. So I think it's trying to just find the right balance for Derry, because they're a massive club, and to get over the line, they have to have success. And they obviously would probably look at Shamrock Rovers and go, well, we want what you have. And there's quality-wise, I wouldn't say there's a lot in between them, but Shamrock Rovers know how to get the job done.
Right, so those were last weekend games, and before we move to tomorrow games, I'm going to bring in Jamie Smith to the forum. How are you, Jamie?
Hi lads, how are we? Thanks for having us on. Good to see my old pal Joe Gorman here as well. How's
Hi,
Joe?
How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I see that Ireland jersey in the background.
It's yeah.
Nice. Yeah, no, me and Joe played with each other for a few years, and actually our first Irish international game underage was together out in Qatar, out in Doha. So that was that jersey. So good to see you, Joe.
Good to see you
How are
too,
the
mate.
lads? We okay, Victor? Cornell, we okay? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very well. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good. Just a couple of words about you, Jamie. So Jamie is here representing Kildare Club, who just applied to the national, to the third tier league, that is meant to start in 2 years' time. No, if I remember, was it next year?
No, yeah, February 26th. Yeah.
February 26th. Okay, good. So I have a few questions here, and if someone watching us on YouTube also wants to ask Jamie, the chat box is open, and I will leave at some point for you, Cornell and Joe, to throw your own questions. So the first thing I want to ask you, Jamie, is just to tell a bit about the club itself.
Yeah, so Club Kildare was formed in 2019. You know, we're what 30, 40 minutes away from Dublin. We were a small operating club when we first initially set up. We only initially got the under-13 National League underage, when it was under-13s in 2019. Since then, we've built the club from under-13s, under-15s, under-17s, under-20s, males, and starting in February 25, we had the under-17 girls program set up as well. But in that short period of time, the club has developed massively. You know, we've grown year by year, getting more competitive each year. But even that under-13 side that we had in 2019, when they moved to under-15, they beat Cork City in the league final. And you know, that was a massive achievement for someone like us to be an institution of Irish football in Cork City. You know, some of those players that played with us, you know, have gone on to playing in the League of Ireland currently at the minute. One of them was Colin McCarthy. He's just signed for Hull City. And Declan O'Saggy's another boy who's just signed pro with Bohemians. And one of the other players is now our lead under-15 coach. So there's been some good players, and look, I'm sure we'll get onto that later in the chat. But yeah, that's where it's kind of come about in 2019. And as I said, since then, we've just built it. We were in an old facility in Toker Park in Naas. And in 2023-24 season, we moved to an absolute fantastic facility in Killashee House Hotel, owned by FBD Group. And it's now like state-of-the-art Astro. We have our own gym facility. We have a video analysis room. We have 3 or 4 dressing rooms, but the Astro itself is state-of-the-art. But it's probably one of the best academies facility-wise in the country.
Cool. So what made Club Kildare apply for the third tier?
Well, you know, probably getting onto the players later, how many players have come through our academy system and are currently playing in the League of Ireland. You know, it makes sense. It makes sense in the catchment area that we have, that, you know, Kildare is one of the biggest growing counties in the country. I remember as being a young lad going to watch Kildare County play. When they were in the League of Ireland, they disbanded in 2008 for financial reasons. So I think there's a great appetite for you know, senior football, League of Ireland, live football on a Friday or Saturday afternoon in Kildare. As I said, we definitely have the population. I know we have the players coming through Kildare, and you know, we have a massive, not a problem, but it's something that we're trying to get over the hurdle of players leaving Kildare and going up to play in Dublin clubs, when, you know, we have the facilities and we have the coaching and we have the standard of the League of Ireland in Kildare. So that's one of the reasons why we applied. Plus, we don't want to be left behind. You know, the league is growing. You know, people do say it's the greatest league in the world. It is getting there. It's definitely growing, and we want to be a part of it. And as I said, the players that we've had over the last few years have proven that. And I think that we can, you know, maybe have a kind of a UCD model where we're promoting players from our underage system and getting them into the first team and giving them exposure to the League of Ireland.
In terms of requirements, so what's the criteria to be accepted to the third tier?
The famous question. We haven't really been told. We just had to put an application in. If it's similar to when we had to apply for the League of Ireland a few years ago. I'm guessing it's going to be based one on facilities, quality of coach development and coach education in the club. The facilities will be a massive one, where we have a training pitch, a ground to play on. Will we have the finances to support the League of Ireland and in the Tier 3, which I think for every club that's entered, I believe there's 67 clubs put their application in. I think the finances is going to be the biggest one, and it comes down to, the hot topic at the minute in the country is government funding. League of Ireland clubs are crying out for funding from the government and from their local councils, and that's what we need, and we need that as a club. We're always trying to look for sponsorship, but we are playing second fiddle to the GAA here, and they do get a lot of the funding. So regarding the requirements, Victor, we haven't been told them. We have had some positive discussions with the League of Ireland over the last few weeks, because we do have the criteria of the academy structure in place. So, fingers crossed over the next few weeks, few months, we'll know a bit more, and we can start planning and preparing for next season.
So we all know that there is a gap between the amateur and the professional football in Ireland. Do you think that the national third tier can build that bridge between the two?
Yeah, well, I think it has to happen at some point. The standard of Premier, the Leinster Senior League and the Munster Senior League is quite high, but we do need more professional setup. What I have been told is that there's going to be no relegation or promotion from the Tier 3 to maybe establish clubs in the league for 3 years, and to give them kind of a foundation to develop their club, develop their first team in that kind of League of Ireland structure and scenario. So that's what we've been told. And then after 3 years, then there's going to be promotion and demotion, because you might have teams from the country, even ourselves, we might not be ready to jump into Division 1 after 1 year. And what they don't want is teams disbanding. I don't think it'd be a great look for the League of Ireland if you have teams like in the past Cavan Monaghan, Kildare County, who have disbanded due to financial reasons, or not having the player profile to match the League of Ireland criteria. So there definitely has to be a bridge built to help the development of players, younger players in the country, because too many players are dropping out after, say, under-20s League of Ireland, and they're not playing football anymore, and it's a shame, really.
In terms of investment, you already referred players, facilities, and the other one is staff. But what kind of stretch have you made in terms of meeting the standards that may be part of the acceptance criteria in the future?
Well, we've been formed for 6 years. In those 6 years, we've had 9 international players at underage international. And that's more than some well-established clubs in the League of Ireland. As I said, we've had 9. We've had two schools international caps, with 9 players who've played across the board at international level. Is a massive feat for the club. When, as I said, there's clubs in the League of Ireland who haven't had that in the 6 years, or even 9 years, or 10 years, or 15 years. So we do have the player profile going forward. We've some excellent players coming through the club at the minute. We tend to lose a lot of players at 17, 18, 19 because they get offered a pro contract with a club in Dublin or Wexford Youths. We've had Jim Crawford, Ireland 21 manager. His son came through our academy system. He's now playing left back for Wexford Youths. Currently, we have Adam Ida's brother Chris in the club. He's with our under 17s. He just got picked recently for the Irish international under 17 squad, and we have a fantastic young talent, which I'd almost put my hat on it, that you'll hear about over the next 6 to 8 months, is Igor Vazinin, a centre half who plays for Club Kildare in our 20s. He's represented Ireland at under 19, under 18, under 17 and under 16 level. He was actually part of the Victor Shield squad. You could hear about him moving to a club in the next few months, but we definitely have the player profile there. The list goes on of players that we've had It was only in 2022 at the European Championships and the pre-qualifiers that 3 out of the back 4 were from Club Kildare. So that's unheard of. We call ourselves probably a smaller club in comparison to some of the bigger clubs in the country.
Still on the topic of players, so you have been entering teams in the League of Ireland Academy League. So how important was it to have them playing at National League to get a foundation in place for a senior team?
Well, I think, and this is again just from feedback from the FAI, we're probably a bit unique in that, a lot of the first teams, when they get financially backed or they get financially supported, all the money tends to go into the first team, where we've kind of started backwards and built our academy up. So we're our investments go into our pre-academy that we have twice a week. That's starting from under 6s to under 12s. And then we have our developments group at 13s, and then under 14s, 15s, 17s and 20s. So everything goes into that. So we are unique in that. It's a massive part of what we do. We have a fantastic coaching structure at the minute. We have some really good coaches within the club. And, recently I was just on my UEFA Elite course, and coach education in Ireland, the FAI told me that they couldn't believe how many coaches are actually coming from Club Kildare at the minute. So it's fantastic for us. We're very lucky that Stephen Bradley and Glenn Cronin, who are Shamrock Rovers manager and assistant manager, their sons currently play in the club. And, for me, in the role that I'm in, it's great to be able to bounce ideas off the two of them and get a bit of feedback and advice from probably the two best coaches in the country at the minute, in my opinion. So, yeah, look, the foundations are definitely there, but it's so important to have that player profile. And, us getting into the League of Ireland definitely helped that. But we knew we were ready in 2019. Even before 2019 as a league in Kildare, I came back from Newcastle in 2012 and I took on a role in the academy, as in the Kildare League Academy. We were ranked 28th out of 32 for league rankings, and that was going into the Kennedy Cup and those schoolboy tournaments. When we left and went to the League of Ireland, we were ranked 2 out of 32. So in that short period of time, we really developed the league and the county for football. So, we're definitely ready for tier 3, and whatever happens in the future happens,
Right. So before I pass the ball to the other lads, I just want to encourage the viewers to use the chat box, which has been very quiet today. I don't know why, but please, guys, don't be shy.
I'm only messing Joe. Only messing me.
I was going there for a minute, Jay, because we can't be that old, mate. 2012.
No,
really.
yeah. I know we're getting 31 now. We're getting on. Me and Joe played on a very, very successful schoolboy team. Before the League of Ireland came about, obviously the DDSL Premier was probably one of the strongest leagues in Europe at that age, and me and Joe played in the back 4 together. That we dominated for about 3 or 4 years together, so we had a good few years together.
Yeah, good times. Good times,
yeah.
So, Joe, any question from you, since you know each other? Maybe you have something spicy to ask.
No, look, obviously Jamie just went down the coaching side of things, which is great. You always did have that kind of. It reminds me of Jamie Carragher, You can talk on a Monday. Yeah, but
that's a compliment for me, Joe. You know that. Born and bred.
From a third league that's coming in. I don't know how. I've seen multiple things getting passed around social media on how it's going to work. Is there obviously there has to be a massive investment on it. Do you need what's the criteria of the stadiums? Is it just going to be a Lancina League Park, or what is it like? What will that take?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. Look, I think that the fact that clubs maybe coming from the Leinster Senior League or amateur kind of background, I don't think the first 3 years the stadium will
matter.
Not that it won't matter, but I think you might need a stand. You're definitely going to need a direct maybe route from a train station or bus station, something simple like that fans can come and go. We've been told a few years ago when we went for first team status maybe in 2020, just before COVID hit, that we need something simple as an ambulance entrance. You might need a stand with 5,000 people. So that might be a, but Joe, it's going to come down to the finances really for us, you know, getting money together. We are lucky that we live in an area where there's a bit of money in Kildare. So the horse racing, the horse racing land. So we are hoping that we do get some investors. We've got some great people in the club behind the scenes in our football committee at the minute who are working together. You know, we're always coming up with ideas, and hopefully over these next few months that, you know, we do get some good funding that we're not worried about each week. Are we going to be able to pay staff? Are we going to be able to pay the doctor? Are we going to be able to pay physio? Because anyone who's been in the club over the last few years would probably say that the standards have been quite professional in the club, and we want to maintain that. And we won't do it if we don't have the right backing, because we want to do it. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. And I think that's really important to keep the standards of the League of Ireland, you know.
Because a lot of clubs do that. They go with great intentions, but with no backing and the professionalism, it just fades off in the end. And then that's where everyone just kind of sacks it off, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, well, like, staff have to be paid, you know, physios have to be paid. You know, we're in an age now where nutrition and recovery are massive. All these things cost a lot of money. And the day-to-day run, even for our academy sides, you know, if we're in a group at underage and we've got Finn Harps and Derry at two different age groups on the same weekend away, you're looking at two or three grand for the buses.
Yeah.
And, you know, we feed our players. Our under-17 manager, Mark Perth, he owns his own restaurant and he's a chef. So he sponsors the food each week for our club. But, you know, it comes at a cost. So all these things add up: kit, gear, everything. You know, look, Joe, you've been involved in the Premier Division. You've played up north. You've played in Division 1, and you've probably seen a massive difference in between playing in Division 1 for standards of professionalism.
Oh, massively. Like, even kind of like even like the food kind of aspect, you know, the fine detail stuff, they look into everything more, you know. Maybe in the first division they're not really strict as they should be, you know. And I think that's important. If, for example, like you, Jamie, if you go into the first division, set your bar high and don't accept anything less, mate, you know, because at least you're obviously doing good things down there from what I've seen you're doing, mate, and that's credit to you. But I think look, set your bar high, mate, and go. But regarding that, there's a massive difference. But I don't think there's a difference between first division and like a Leinster Senior League, and that's the truth be told.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't think standard-wise there's much difference. But look, I haven't got out and watched that many Leinster Senior League games in the last few years, just been so busy. But I think it is getting better. I think it is getting better in Division 1. I think the standard of football is getting a bit better. You know, I think that's maybe across the country, better coaching, better quality of player. But again, Joe, lads, it comes down to funding from the government. You know, we need a massive help from the government to get this going and get this started, because otherwise we're just going to be falling further and further behind. And you might not see, you'll see probably the damages maybe in 5 or 10 years' time for the first team, for the national team. Like I've seen today, we're still ranked 60th in the world. And, you know, we've dropped off massively over the last few years. And it's only, for me, if we don't get government funding in the next 5 to 7 years, it's only going to get worse.
Corno, your turn, please.
Are you expecting to bring in any players on transfer, or are you bringing emerging young talents from the youth academy and get the best out of them and develop them into the next big thing? Or
I think for us, if we go down the route of signing older players, I think we're at a lost cause, really, being honest. I think, you know, what we've started the club for is to develop players in Kildare or in the surrounding areas of Kildare, Laois, Offaly, Carlow, Wicklow, those areas. We want to develop, as I said at the start, like a model like a UCD where we're bringing players through. We have a link with Maynooth University at the minute. You know, that would be fantastic for players to inspire to join the club and join our academy early, so they they have something to look forward to when they're older and push on. Now that's not to say we wouldn't sign maybe 2 or 3 older guys for a bit of experience, but I think for us we'd be going maybe with a young coaching staff, hungry young players that want to push on and develop, and maybe make us a bit of money from some of the big boys signing our players.
That's where the first division's at the moment. Where you look, there's a lot of young players in there, and they're just gonna look for that kind of one gold nugget to sell them on to earn a few quid for the club's finances. And it's not that's how it is now. It's all about finances, as you said.
Yeah, I think for us, it's probably not the nice way to put it, but we've got to start looking potentially, and again from a business standpoint, that some of these players are coming assets. That as I said, we've got Chris Ida, Adam Ida's younger brother in our club at the minute. He's 6'4", electric pace. There's already a few clubs in the UK sniffing around him, and some of the top boys in the League of Ireland have already approached us about him. But that's where it comes from. That's where you get your money from sell-ons and add-ons, and that's our goal really as one of our goals and objectives is can we produce our own players that we're making our own money, and that we can put back into the club and develop it. And we haven't spoken about our women's section. We've got our 17s this year. We will have our 20 or 19s women's section next year, and then we want to get our first team going for the women's as well. But that all again comes down to finances. So you're looking there, adding 4 extra teams onto what we already have is a massive financial burden. But we're ready for it. We're ready for the challenge, lads. And as I said, we're in a great catchment area, and I feel that we'll get great support in the county. We've got a lot of boys and mammies and daddies and brothers and sisters who are driving past our training ground to go up to Tallaght Stadium, to go up to Dalymount Park, to go up to Tolka Park or the UCD Bowl to watch live football, where they could be driving 15-20 minutes to our facility to watch League of Ireland football.
So another question, Cornell, from you?
Yeah. Where do you expect your team to finish in the lower league of the Irish International League? Do you expect to finish higher, or do you expect to finish in mid-table? Where do you see your team finishing when the season does start and when you do get your squad together?
Look, hopefully these next few weeks we find out and we get granted the application, and we're allowed to play in the League of Ireland, and everything is rosy. But I think for us, the year one would be to kind of just get to grips with the league, get to grips with maybe some of our 18, 19, 20-year-olds playing potentially against men and dealing with the pressures of playing senior football. So for us, the initial season would be, especially if there's no promotion or demotion, I think it'd be just finding our feet really. And then I think from year 2 and year 3, it'd be about setting targets of maybe getting into that Division 1. That's what we're in it for. Obviously, we're in to win games and develop players, and we want to eventually get into that Division 1 if we get granted access into the league. So for us, that would be our goal, just to find our feet and then really push on and have a good crack at it. Have a good crack at playing against top quality opposition week in, week out. As I said, we've got the coaching staff, we've got the players coming through our academy, so we'll be definitely thereabouts. Like our under-20 squad, for example, who will probably be pushed up. A lot of them might be pushed up next year to play. We beat Shamrock Rovers last week 3-2. Again, on paper we shouldn't be competing with them at under-20 level. We should, they're again a massive club. They had some of the first teamers that played in the Europa Conference League playing, and we beat them 3-2, and we've beaten that under-20 Shamrock Rovers under-20 side 3 times in the last 12 months. So again, we definitely have the players in that U20 group at the minute. A lot of them have come through since under 13s, under 14s League of Ireland through Club Kildare. So that, again, it's a great credit to our coaching staff that we have at the club, that they've put the time and effort into the players. So yeah, sorry for it. That's a bit of a long-winded answer, but yeah, no, we're definitely ready to compete and push on.
Mm-hmm. I have another question. Would you like to see your club compete in the first division and really come up against the very best teams in the first division has to offer, or do you feel, well, you're just taking one step at a time?
Well, again, it comes down to the ruling and the requirements from the FAI. So if they say to us there's no promotion or demotion for 3 years, we have to live by that, and we have to. It probably work out for us that we can plan and develop for 3 or 4 or 5 years down the line, that we would be ready to compete. But as I said, we're at underage level. Every team in that Division 1 we've beaten. We've beaten quite comfortably over the last few years in certain games. As I said, at under 15 level in 21-22, we beat Cork City. Our 17s last year beat Cork City at home. Again, our 17s last year, who then got promoted to the under 20s, finished second in the elite phase. Second in their group with Rovers, Pats, and Bows in the group. We finished second, and obviously the top 2 go through, and we went into the elite phase. Ended up coming, I think it was 5th or 6th in the elite phase, with the likes of your Shelburnes, your St. Pat's, your Cork Cities, Galway United. So we're definitely able to compete at underage level. So, I don't see a world where we can't compete at a first team level with them. Obviously, again, it comes down to the big hot topic is finances. But I think by year 5, Cornell, we should be there. We should be thereabouts, being ready to compete.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, sorry to cut across you, mate. Right,
Yeah.
but all I'd like to know is, the way Leinster League teams are Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, and there's English season, and then we have summer season League One. How is that going to cross? Like, obviously teams are going to have to take another Leinster League team, or the Munster League, or the Kildare League, and to then go into it. How does that? Surely that's going to kill kind of the Leinster League, and like, how does it work? Like, I don't know how that's going to work.
Just different entities. So like the League of Ireland are the big boys, aren't they? That's what's going to happen. The SFAI have suffered massively over the last few years, because like the Kennedy Cup's done now, and that's just an example, Joe, because League of Ireland is where it's at. That's where everyone wants to play in it. Everyone wants to play in that league, and I'm not really sure. I just know from working with the underage sections that the SFAI have struggled massively over the last few years, since the underage League of Ireland has really pushed on and developed. And schoolboy clubs are missing out. Maybe they'll have to align the transfer windows together. I'm not sure, but
Set in stone for 3 years promotion and relegation.
Sorry,
is that set in stone? The 3 year plan? No.
This is what we look. We're academy managers. So all the League of Ireland clubs, we'd meet every month. The academy directors would meet every month, and we have conversations and chats. And this was just brought up a while ago, that this was being talked about, that there might be no promotion. But it does make sense that, what you don't want is maybe a team that's getting pumped full of money, and they're just going to skip the leagues and jump up, and then the money goes after year 3, and it really affects the league and the fixtures, and everything revolves around that. I think the FAI hopefully have learned over the last few years of clubs maybe disbanding, or like look at Dundalk at the start of the year. They nearly went bust, and you're talking about a team that was in the Champions League a few years ago.
Yeah, true.
So it's really important that they do establish the league and don't rush things. Don't rush this. This is going to take time. That you look at the setup in the UK with the conference and how that's set up. It's really established now, and some of those teams are getting to the FA Cup second round, FA Cup third round. Think of Marine. They're from Liverpool. They had a really good run and ended up playing against Tottenham Hotspurs a few years ago. So it does take time, these things.
Does your team have like a sort of a formation or style of play that your team may may want to be playing when the season does start, or does the club have plans already of what style of play and what formation will go down well with the players?
Yeah, so look, I mentioned facilities earlier. So we had an old facility that was a grass pitch. It was a massive area. We had 3 pitches there, but week by week, it served its purpose. It was absolutely fantastic. But week by week, Cornell, we didn't know what weather in Ireland. You don't know what weather you're going to get. Like, we all know that. We've all played on bad pitches in this country. So we were more a win-oriented side. We were very set play dominated. We were very hard to play, maybe a mid to low block team to play against. But since we've moved to our all-weather facility, the academy structure up to our under-17 structure this year have a specific style of play that we have. The under-20s haven't yet. But they are very, very similar. Very similar. The manager for the 20s, Desi Balmer, has been involved in Irish football for years. He's a great way about him and a great way on the pitch. But very similar. We will be playing, yeah. So look, whoever comes in as the manager, we've a few ideas who potentially could be the manager, but it will be again a young coach who probably has the same ideas and philosophy as myself that we want to play. At the minute, from our 17s down to our under 13s, it's a heavy build-up style. Again, I think everyone most teams are playing at elite level football are going with that way now. Because obviously, we want to be a ball possession oriented side that has a lot of the ball. That's what we strive for. Obviously, when we come up against a top opposition, you might have to tweak that at times. But I'd like to think that teams now could watch us, and we might not be wearing our jerseys and say, that's a Club Kildare team. That's how they build up. That's how they press from the front, and that's how they play in the midfield. So the 4 age groups are predominantly playing a 4-3-3 system at the minute. Obviously, with changes mid-game and tweaks mid-game and tweaks from week to week, that can happen. But that's where we start our foundations at the academy level is with 4-3-3, yeah, and it can be tweaked from game to game. But it's a heavy build-up and a heavy press system, kind of what we have at the minute. But again, when you're playing a Rovers or you're playing a Bohemians, that might have to change at underage level.
Any other question? Any other comment? Or if not, I will just wrap up with Jamie.
Yeah.
Right. So, Jamie, I want to thank you for taking the time and wish all the best in your application. And for next year, I hope you guys will be on the pitch. Delivering your work. You seem very determined. You seem confident. You seem someone who knows the stuff. So I think you'll succeed. So hopefully we can see you guys in action and making the Kildare fans happy.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on, and I appreciate the time and obviously pushing the agenda of Club Kildare. And look, I appreciate it. And Joe, good seeing you, pal. Hope all is well. And yeah, good stuff. Okay, thanks, guys. I'll catch you again. Okay.
Thank you.
Take care, Jamie.
Thanks, guys.
Right, so we're going to move to the third topic, which is usually brief, and that's the first division. So we are not going to go in detail, meaning game by game. Just would like to ask you an overview on how you see the first division at this point. Any highlights, any call out you want to bring to discussion? I start with you, Joe. How you see the first division at this point in time?
At this moment of time, I see, look, the first division's always kind of been like a team from the Premier Division comes down straight away, and they always have the backing to go straight back up. It's a league that hasn't really been gifted with finances, so the team has basically the most money wins the league. So Dundalk and Cove Ramblers, obviously Cove Ramblers have a massive investment this year, so it seems to be early doors them too, and I can't really see it changing. And them two will battle it out.
Yeah, on the first division, Cornell, I think we were just told, I think it was today or yesterday, that some teams were penalized and some others got a couple of points back. That was unexpected. At least I was not aware of it, and somehow it changed the table. Like a couple of teams were on the bottom, and now they are on, I think, on the first 4 places. Some other just dropped to the bottom. Your views on that?
Yeah, of course. I did read about Finn Harps. Obviously, they've been deducted points, and obviously, Kerry FC as well is also in that category as well, which is a real real shame because of what's going on with certain players. But I think the way the first division has gone this season, we've seen teams go up and down. We've seen Dundalk go on an undefeated streak that we've never seen Dundalk go on an undefeated streak for a while, and you know their ambition is to get back into the Premier Division of the League of Ireland and really cement their own legacy and start being the team that we expect Dundalk to be. You've got Cole Bramblers as well, who are also a team that also are want to be in and around it. You got Bray as well, who are also another team, and of course Treaty United is also another team is to look forward to as well. And when you've got Lee Deverett obviously scoring goals for fun and he's top scorer right now, it is very, very difficult to maintain him as a player. But you know, he's been very, very key for Treaty United. And of course, you've got Wexford as well, who's also another team that also are also coming into the promotion spots. But I think for me, it's between Cork City will definitely win it this year. I definitely see Cole Ramblers as well being in and around it. And I think as well, I won't be surprised if Bray Wanderers are in it as well. And I think Wexford as well FC I think will be in around it. So it's getting very, very competitive, and we're seeing teams really show their quality and show their class in the first division.
Right, so that's it for the first division. Now it's your time to be on the spot, Joe. Joe, there are a few questions here from the other LOI lads. So I'll start with the first one. Let me just read it for you. Started out at Cherry Orchard and moved to Crew Alexandra as a teenager. What was that transition like?
Well, it was quite difficult at the time. You know, I was very young, and the transition to professional football, full-time football. So from training twice a week to training every day. So, but look, it's something I worked towards, and yeah, it was really good. It's something I embraced, and I loved every minute of it. It's every kid's dream to, when you're playing kind of schoolboy football over in Ireland, you want to get a move, like a chance in England, and I did. I got that, and I loved every minute of it.
So that kind of answers next question, which was going into a professional football a dream or a goal of yours from the very start growing up?
Yeah, I think, look, everyone, when you're young, wants to be a professional footballer. And even when I was in school, the school teachers would tell me, "Oh, you're not going to make it as a professional footballer." And I suppose any young person out there doesn't have to be football, and they have ambitions to kind of do anything. If you believe in it, if you work as hard as you can and still believe, have self-belief, then you can achieve anything.
You spent time at clubs like Inverness, Ardrinians, and Maidenhead United. How did those experiences shape you as a player?
Well, look, it's the two different sides of the country, aren't they? One's near London, isn't it? Am I right, Conor? That's one's in close, isn't it?
What did you say?
Maidenhead is quite close to London.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is close to London. Yeah.
Oh, look, I had Inverness was a very good time of mine. You know, Terry Butcher was my manager. He was very good there. I was around a lot of good players, very good players, playing against teams like Celtic and that, and like, well, I support Celtic, so it was a good dream of mine, you know. And look, I enjoyed my time there, and yeah, it was a good experience.
Just a question of mine that just came to my mind now. How is it to play against the team you support?
Very hard. It's a win-win situation, really. You know, if the team you support wins, beats you, you're kind of happy. But if you beat them, you're happy too. You know. But yeah, no, look, it was good at the time. But yeah, it's quite hard.
Yeah, It has to be hard because you are kind of divided. I don't know. Let's say you score a goal, like, and you have to celebrate. You cannot just pretend. Yeah.
No, celebrate never. No.
You wouldn't celebrate.
Oh, never. No, not against the team I support. No.
Yeah, that shows how loyal you are. That's good. That's good. You've played for several LOI clubs, including Go United, Longford Town, and Treaty United, just to name a few. How would you describe your experience with the League of Ireland to date?
Do I have to describe one word, or kind of how I feel about it, or?
Yeah, how you feel about like the?
It was different kind of. With Galway, it was a full-time setup. You know, I had to move down there. I'm based in Dublin. I had to relocate down to Galway, and it was a bit of a change for me. And look, I really did like it. It was a successful time for me down there. The manager, John Caulfield, he's probably one of the best managers I've ever had. You know, he's well known in the League of Ireland. He's won multiple titles with Cork City, and he actually had the team with Shawnee Maguire and that when he was very successful. And then at Treaty, I still got a kind of close relationship with them. They're a really good club. They're a club that's trying to build from the academy up. And then look, I hope they do well this year. But no, look, I enjoy the League of Ireland. I watch it a lot. And the teams that like Galway and that I still keep in contact with, and I try to get down to as many games as I can, you know.
Talking of the League of Ireland, so having played in numerous leagues across the UK and Ireland, where would you rank the League of Ireland quality-wise?
That's a tough question.
It's not mine. It's not mine, no.
I would say now. I would say in English perspective leagues, I'd say the end of the championship, maybe bottom. You'd have maybe Shamrock, Rovers, and that, and then the rest would be kind of League One levelish, kind of. I think.
What has been the best moment of your career so far, or maybe you can name 2 or 3?
I played up in Cliftonville, which is Northern Ireland, and we qualified for. I got 3 rounds of the Europa League, so that was quite cool. You know, getting to travel on kind of private jets and getting to experience different stadiums, different cultures, different fans, and countries really, and getting to play some really good players. And not many people get to hear that music, say walking out of the Europa League music, and kind of actually gave me a bit of goosebumps, to be fair, because I was quite happy with that achievement myself.
What were the teams you faced when you were playing in Europe?
So the first round we played a Welsh team called Barrytown. Don't know if you know them. They're in the Welsh League. We played a team from Norway called, now I could be pronouncing this wrong, Hogsenhend. They're in Rosenborg's league and Molde's league.
Yeah.
But they were so good. Like we got beaten 5-1 to them. They had really good players, like players were playing for like West Ham on loan at the time, and really good players, you know. But there's obviously levels to the game, and they were just too good for us that day.
Yeah, Barrytown. Just a note. I'm an FC Porto fan. Barrytown beat Porto in 2001, 3-1. That was something I'll never forget. I think we beat them in Portugal like 7-0 or something like that. And then we went to Wales just, because we have to. And we were beaten 3-1. So that's something I'll never forget about that team myself. What else we have here? You see yourself joining another club as a player or into coaching, or what's your plan in general for the future?
Well, I was kind of along the lines. I've got my UEFA B license. I was going down the lines of start coaching. I was with my brother's team, which is Rahena United. We started well. We finished the season unbeaten, but we lost the last few games in the cup, which we would have had a good season. But I'm actually in talks with a club now, going back playing. And we'll see how it materialises. Look, I'm still young in the coaching sense, but playing wise, look, 35? I'm 30 years of age now. I want to try to make the most of my last few years of playing football. And look, the coaching can last So, 60, 70. But I just want to enjoy my last few years of playing football and give everything I can for it, because when it's gone for good, isn't it, I suppose?
Yeah. Now, I have a couple of quick fire questions here. Toughest club to play against, and not Celtic Glasgow, because we know already that was tough.
Toughest club to play against. Man United played. It was like a indoor kind of competition. So the players would have played. Paul Pogba played. Ravel Morrison played. Januzaj played. Keane Brothers played. Henderson played. You know the goalkeeper Henderson. Tyler Blackett played. There was kind of that was probably the toughest because I didn't get a kick at the ball.
Best striker you came up against?
Because it's a League of Ireland based kind of podcast. Remember Ronan Coughlin? He used to play for Sligo. He played for Sligo once. For a year, and he was very good. His movement was really good.
Last fire question. Dream LOI 5-a-side team.
Myself,
This question is not mine. Huh? Don't look at me.
Huh? Do I have to have a goalkeeper in goal? Can I play an outfield player?
You can cheat. That's fine.
No. In goal, I'd probably have Conor Kearney. Defender, I would have. Does it have to be of this season?
You can do whatever you want. Yeah, it's free format. Yeah.
I would play myself on that team. You have to. If you're man, you have to. I'll take penalties and be the captain. Chris Forrester. Probably have Jack Bourne. That's just three football there too. And up front, probably Patrick Hovan. You're playing five-a-side, you always got to get to that striker's feet.
Right. Okay, so that's all for my end. Maybe Cornell, you want to ask a couple of queries yourself?
Yeah. Who was the toughest opponent that you played against throughout your footballing career?
Ravel Morrison.
Quality player.
There's things I've seen football players do, and then there's just him by himself. Like I remember him getting the ball off on the 18-yard line, holding players off, and just sending them to the shops. He's just ridiculous on a different level. Just gliding past players, and I wouldn't mind. But like this, I've never seen someone just, when there's levels to the game, and he done it in his like slippers. Like he's that good. Yeah, he's that good of a player, and I'll always say Ravel Morrison. Yeah.
Who was your all-time favorite player growing up as a kid before you got into professional football?
Henrik Larsson.
Yeah, quality player. Yeah, fantastic player, man. Absolutely, he was wicked for Celtic though.
And he done it even when he came on against Barcelona against Arsenal. Do you remember that? He set up the 2 goals.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember him just like scoring the goals and linking up well with Neil Lennon back in the day.
He's really good. Well, I loved him. He's still my favorite player.
And then also, who was your favorite World Cup player growing up as a kid?
Oh, that's just a strange question. It has to be Ronaldinho.
Yeah. Straight away.
Yeah. Like he had everything, didn't he? The jewellery, the wristband, everything, didn't he? I just loved him.
Yeah. The buck teeth.
Yeah. The hairband, everything. And the aura.
And also, I think he was like always will be one of the greatest of all time and best free kickster.
Yeah, I love that free kick against England. That was, I don't know if he still meant that. I'm not sure, but it could be a shank. You never know.
Yes. How, if you had to go back in time, at one of the previous clubs that you played for, which one would you go back and play for once again if you had to?
Probably Cliftonville up in Northern Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
It was between them and Inverness, but I picked Cliftonville because they're kind of more of they're a bit of like Celtic fans.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I got on well with them. We had success there, and it was just a massive club, like, you know. And I just enjoyed my time. Sometimes you can look for big kind of, oh, I played well there. I just loved playing there, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
like that takes really. So, Cliftonville.
Also, what was it like representing Ireland international team, and who was your favorite player playing alongside in the Ireland international team?
Well, there's Jamie was on my international team. He was actually the captain at the time as well. I've only a few pictures in my house of like me playing football, and in crew there's obviously that, and then there's me playing for Ireland, and it's actually in one of the stadiums where it hosted the World Cup. I'm not pronouncing this right or wrong. Khalifa Stadium, or something like that. Maybe you can something like that. Yeah. So Jamie was captain, but he's a good player, you know. But yeah, it was a good experience playing for Ireland because I was only young at the time, and look, not many people get to play for their country, you know. And it's a great honor that I had.
Mm-hmm. I'm done with the questions.
All right, we have a comment here from our good friend John. Come home, Joe. They are missing you in Limerick.
Yeah, I was nearly actually signing back for Treaty. I've got a good connection with them. They're really nice people down there. They're real community. See, I like community clubs that the fans interact with the club, you know, because that's so underestimated, you know. And I think they're a good team this year. They'll be up there. They'll definitely make the playoffs, and I kind of keep a close eye on them. And I speak to one or two of the fans, and even Lee Devitt, like, he's doing well with them this year. I think he's the type of player that they need to kind of hold on to, because I see clubs maybe from the Premier Division coming down to take, for example, like Lee Devitt or something like that, because he's still young. He can still become a better player. But yeah, I was nearly signing for them. See, they train in the morning time at the moment, and I can't commit to that. You know, most first division teams are part time, and I can't commit to it because I've got a good job at the moment, and the job pays the bills at the time.
Right. Okay, so I think that was all in terms of questions. Joe, you stay with us for the weekend games, right?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, all right. So now there's one more. So just one more again from John. Gorman at the back, David in attack. Treats are going to win the F3. Can't say that, John, in YouTube. I can't say that loud. You know, I can't say that on the pub, not here. You know, sorry.
It's not fun.
Yeah, I don't want the issues with YouTube. All right. Okay, next this weekend games. Drogheda, Waterford. Joe, I keep the ball with you. Who's going to be the winner, or there'll be a draw on that one?
I think a draw too. I think a draw written all over it. Drogheda is a good hard place to go to, and I think a lot of teams will be doing well this year to get 3 points out of Drogheda. And if they do, they've obviously worked hard and done well for it. But I think it'll be a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. Do you expect the same outcome, Cornell?
Yeah, I think it will be a draw because both teams they're both underdog teams, and obviously Waterford are starting to gain momentum, and so is Drogheda. So two teams that are obviously playing some wicked football, and obviously still are still underdogs in the Premier Division this season. So I think a draw, is probably likely the outcome. But obviously, knowing my luck, I think because of how Drogheda are as a team, and then they make it so difficult where they play at their home stadium, then you wouldn't rule out Drogheda winning this game really against Waterford. So never say never with Drogheda, but I just think it's going to be a draw, going into this game.
Next one is Derry Cork. Myself as a Cork fan, I'm going to say I'm sick of seeing Cork drawing game after game. It has been exhausting at this point. I would like to see them winning, but am I being too ambitious, Cornell?
Yeah, well, it's good for you to be ambitious because you want your team to win. Obviously, they've had draws, and the draws haven't been great. But obviously, look, they drew against Drogheda. Obviously, they felt that they could have gone on and beat Drogheda, but Drogheda is showing that they are the underdogs and they'll never back down and they'll never quit. But again, Cork City obviously are starting to get back their best players. They've got back Cafe O'Sullivan. They've really missed him. He is going to be one talented, gifted player that is going to attract a lot of clubs throughout from now to the summer before the season is over. You've got Greg Bolger coming back as soon as you know it. You've got Shawnee Maguire is coming back as soon as you know it. So there is a lot of good players coming back. You've got Greg Bolger obviously coming back as well too. So that's a massive boost. But like Cork City going into this game against Derry, obviously Derry are struggling with the options up front. They're struggling to get Hobben and Boyce to score the goals. So I think this is an opportunity for Cork City to go into this game and cause an upset and show that that Cork City have the strikers to score goals. You have Keaton, who's got 3 goals this season, absolutely on fire at the moment. You've got obviously Sean Maguire, who's obviously coming back, but I think the more players you have coming back from injury, I think the more of the boost that Cork City will get. And I think this is more likely going to go in Cork City's favour because Derry City are still adapting to the League of Ireland. You've got Tian Lynch that's still trying to figure out who his best 11 is. He's still having a lot of Derry City fans on his back thinking, well, has he brought too much experienced players to really play in this Derry City team? Instead of bringing in youth, mixing up with youth and experience to help out the likes of Hobben and the likes of Boyce. So I think that would be very interesting to see. But I think there's a Cork City win written all over it.
Your perspective, Joe?
I'm going to go against you. I think Derry will win 3-1. I think Derry will be under pressure. I think the fans will be, again, rooting for them, but I think 3-1 because Derry's a tough place to go to, and it's a good fair distance, Derry to Cork, and that will take its toll, I think. Derry 3-1.
Bohemians, there's a lot of pressure on both sides, especially with the Dubs, I would say. How would that pressure impact the action on the pitch, Joe?
I think with this game, there's a lot riding on the game. I think it's whoever loses this is sacked, really. I think there's more pressure on really Bohemians than there is Sligo. That's obviously because Bohs are a bigger club, more finances in the club. But I couldn't from the pick. It's tough on the pick, really. But I'm gonna pick a 2-1 win to Bohs, and its simple reason is because Bohs are at home. It's a tough game to pick, but 2-1 Bohs.
Can someone help me with this joke here? This 100% the El Sakiko. What is that?
I think he means that that there's 100% LA Sacco for either Ryan Reynolds or for Joe.
That's a comment of the night, John.
Yeah,
you made it. Yeah, Cornell, how do you foresee this match?
This is a must-win for Bohemians. It is. because Bohemians are have 6 defeats this season in the League of Ireland this season. Alan Reynolds' job is on the line, just like John Russell's his job is on the line. Both managers want to go into this game believing that they can get a win, right? Obviously, you look at Bohemians' team, as I mentioned throughout the whole of the podcast. They had their previous game when they lost to Galway United. They had 30%. They had 30 shots on target, right? They had so many efforts on goal, and they didn't put them away, right? 30 efforts on goal, and nothing was going on. The experiment has sucked with the Mose problem, right? And it's going to get worse and worse and worse if they don't do something about it. If they don't win this game against Salogo, who also haven't been in good form, questions are still going to be asked of Alan Reynolds. Alan Reynolds right now needs to go into this game tomorrow. He needs to go and get his best 11, know his best 11, know what players he's going to play Mose out front, get his confidence back on track, get him to really adapt to the League of Ireland, and obviously, or unless he plays both Whelan and he plays Mose up front to get them the goals. Because if Mose is on the bench, then it's gonna question a lot of Bohemian fans. Well, was it the right player to bring in? Was all the hype just a fluke or anything like that? Salogo Rovers, on the other hand, look, they are an underdog side, just like how Drogheda are, right? You look at Hickey right now. Hickey has been the best player. His impact in this team, in that Salogo Rovers team, has been fantastic. Nobody cannot say that he hasn't been great. Fitzgerald obviously got the most assists this season. He has been the absolute baller for Salogo Rovers, right? Those two players are going to be so key for Salogo Rovers tomorrow against Bohemians. So if Bohemians don't get their tactics right, don't get the style of play right, don't get their starting 11 right, I'm sorry, Alan Reynolds has to go. Because if he don't get it right, and he don't put his best 11 and say, listen, you're playing for me. If you don't play right, you're not playing. If he doesn't play Mose tomorrow or any throughout the games that they got coming up, serious questions are going to be asked. Because since Ofalabi's gone, we haven't seen not one improvement from Bohemians.
On Mose, if he doesn't score, he deserves to go playing with Daisy Hill. I don't have. That's some punishment here.
Yeah, that is a real punishment.
Okay, what else we have here? I think it was Galway Rovers. No, I think that's one happening this weekend. Cornell. Galway is in great form. Maybe they will beat again Shamrock Rovers, or maybe not.
This is a massive game for Shamrock Rovers and for Galway United. Galway United have just been on fire this season. Absolutely brilliant. They have just really shown the quality that we have been expecting. You know, Moses Dyer absolutely scored goal of the season, 2 goals in the previous game. Absolutely brilliant. And, you know, look, you can clearly see Galway United haven't actually beaten Shamrock Rovers since 1991 in the FII Cup final. And realistically, you could clearly see that obviously Galway United are really want to go in this game and really try and cause an upset against Shamrock Rovers. Yes, Shamrock Rovers have been in decent form. We've seen the best of Matt Healy. We've seen the best of Danny Grant. But the questions are still asked on them because they haven't replaced Johnny Kenny in their team. They're still going to rely on Michael Noonan, despite that he's a 16-year-old kid, you know, that's come out of the academy, still in education, still scoring goals and making his impact properly known. Aaron Greeny, yes, somewhat reliance on him. Same thing for Warwick Gaffney, even though he's an experienced player who signed a new contract. They haven't got a striker. And obviously they need and maybe another winger to add to their team. If they can add off Alabi in the summer, I'll be very, very proud if they do. But realistically, Galway United are just unstoppable right now. and they are a team that no one doesn't want to be playing. Their manager has just got the best out of their players. He's made Moses Dyer adapt to playing in the League of Ireland. That is what you're supposed to do as a head coach for as a manager. You're supposed to know your starting 11. You're supposed to know what formation you're playing, and the Galway United manager has done that. So it wouldn't be surprising if Galway United win, but Shamrock Rovers will go into this game and believe that they can really start keeping the winning momentum going and really have that sort of winning and play the football that we expect them to do and have a better performance, really, to be fair. And it does show. I mean, look, it's not all the time Stephen Bradley's going to get it right. He is going to get his lineups wrong. Yes, of course, they're missing Mandroyu. Yes, they're missing, like certain key players in their team. Galway United obviously are just a team that I think will be up there in the European places along with Waterford and so on. So I think for me, I think it wouldn't be surprising if Galway United win, which I believe they will. But I think the ball could go into Shamrock Rovers' corner.
Let me just thank Luke for the compliment. LOI Talk, simply the best League of Ireland account. Thank you very much. We are very happy to hear your words, Luke. Very kind. Joe, 3 points for Galway this weekend?
It's a tough one, but it wouldn't surprise me the way Galway are going if they nick a result. Shamrock Rovers are going there. They're going to have to roll their sleeves up and win the fight. If they win the fight, they win the war. But I'm going to sit on the fence with this and go 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. I think it's not a bad result for
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a bad result, I'll be honest. A draw, I think is more likely. But knowing my luck, I think Galway United will be really hyped up for this and really want to go in it and really cause a serious upset towards Shamrock Rovers.
It seems the tradition is with Rovers. Galway haven't beaten Rovers since the 1999 to one FA Cup final. So the tradition is with them, but tradition are traditions. They have to be broken, as they say. So
it's a good stat.
Yeah, good stat that, man.
Yeah, I don't know where he's picked that from.
I don't know, maybe some fake news. I don't know. That's the Dublin Derby for the weekend. Patrick Shelburne. I wouldn't put my Bitcoin on that one. No way. I cannot. I mean, I probably go for Pats, but you never know. It's gonna go Shelburne, can go draw. Maybe Pats, they are favorites because they have a great team and they play home, but still, never know. Joe?
I'm gonna go with St. Pat's. The simple reason is I just think the momentum's with them at the moment. I'm not saying Shelburne or the momentum's not with them, but I just think that Pats have just got too much quality in the final third. I think it'll be 2-1 St. Pat's, and I think there'll be 2 red cards in the game because it's a Dublin derby. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's not as aggressive as the derbies in Turkey. I don't know if you guys saw.
I would love
it. Yeah. Between Fenerbahce and Galatasaray, that was insane. No?
Sure, I seen Jose Mourinho last night go for one of the managers now.
Yeah. He touched him on the nose, and the other guy, in my opinion, just dived. I'm not defending Mourinho. Both were idiots, but it's.
You were just saying that because you're a Porto fan.
I was. I used to worship Mourinho. Not anymore. Not
really?
Anymore. We can get him.
No, he's washed.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, for us as a Porto fan, he was God because we won Europa League and Champions League in 2 years. That's remarkable. It never happened in history. If I look at it, the last 10 years, it's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. So
yeah, they beat Celtic 3-2.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Broke my heart.
Yeah, I almost had a heart attack in that game.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The extra time, almost. Yeah. And we have So Cornell, let me know about your thoughts on the Dublin Derby.
This is a massive Dublin derby. Obviously, the last time that Shelburne played St. Pat's, they St. Pat's won 3-2 through Almin Kazim, who scored the winning goal for St. Pat's. And obviously both teams have had back-to-back victories amongst each other and stuff. And obviously I think St. Pat's will go into this and believe that they can beat them again. But I think the ball will go with Shelburne. Obviously, Shelburne want to get back to obviously being title contenders. They want to be the team that no one doesn't want to be playing. I mean, yes, when you go to Tolka Park, which is the oldest stadium in the League of Ireland, in League of Ireland history, basically no team doesn't want to be going to Tolka Park and playing against Shelburne. I mean, but it's the mentality of Damon Duff. You know, he will look at this game and think, look, it's a Dublin derby. He knows how good and fantastic St. Pat's have been. You know, they've been in wicked form, obviously, as you know, and they've shown the quality. They've shown why they are going to be title contenders. They've shown why they're going to win the League of Ireland title and really make sure that you know, the likes of Shamrock and Shelburne don't stand in their way. But again, Shelburne will want to go into this game. I mean, obviously, we haven't seen you know, Sean Boyd has got 2 goals this season. Mipo Odebeko has got you know, 1 goal so far, hasn't really gelled yet, so we haven't seen the Boyd and the Odebeko you know, link up really, to be precise. But again, I think the best, we have seen the very best of Kerr McRoy. You know, again, Matt Roy just really makes so much difference in that Shelburne midfield. Ellis Chapman, say no more about Ellis Chapman. But you know, again, I think this is going to go in Shelburne's corner, and I think they'll want revenge after losing 3-2 last season in the Dublin derby. So I think it'll be a very close game, but I think it will be a very physical game. It will be an all and out game, but I think this will go in Shelburne's favor.
So, Joe, can I finish the show announcing your return to Limerick after this comment?
Yeah, tell him we can agree.
It'll be breaking news. We could put it here at
Of course.
the bottom. Yeah. So, John, it's a maybe. I think the answer is a maybe. Yeah.
The treaty.
Right, guys. I think that's it. That's what we have for today. We'll be back next Thursday. I want to thank you, Joe, for joining us, and all the best in your future endeavors, whether they're football related or not football related. So, yeah, it was good to have you here. I enjoyed the interaction, and the door is open for the next occasion. No?
Thank you so much for having me on, guys. I really enjoyed the chat, and I'll keep in contact with you and keep going with the podcast because it's very good.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy, lads. See you later.
Thank you.
I see you next Thursday.
Yeah, see you next Thursday. Thank you.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.